The Buffalo Solar Knights eclipsed the London Kings in Game 1 of the ELDS. A 6-year-old Zach Dorn is the youngest crowned Stratagema Grandmaster, and a dozen teens were injured rushing the stage at a Sonny Clemens concert. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Wow, I can't believe you remembered that stuff. I was going to try to remember it, and I was like, it's a real tongue twister right there.
Let me tell you, there's no way I could remember that. I definitely paused the screen and wrote it down in all caps because each one of those had some goodies, some Easter eggs in there. Real quickly,
I'd like to know about that.
I don't know anything about the Buffalo Solar Knights. I think that was probably made up. The London Kings, if you'll recall. Oh, by the way, hang on a second. Everybody, we are doing a review of Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 1. Finally, Lower Decks has returned to your screens for your viewing pleasure. The episode is entitled Grounded. This is Cirroc Lofton, Deep Space Nine Superstar. My name is Ryan T. Husk. I like basketball, music, and Star Trek. And animals. All right. So real quick, just to finish with that thought. The London Kings, if I remember correctly, do you remember Buck Bokai on Deep Space Nine? Buck Bokai played for the London Kings. Excellent knowledge by the Lower Decks team. Zach Dorn. Zach Dorn is a kind of alien that came on to Next Generation. He was a Zach Dorn guy, and he played Data in a game of Stratagema. So that's what that is. And Sonny Clemens is also Next Generation. Can't remember the episode, but there was some guy named Sonny Clemens who came and he played guitar and he was talking to Data. He came from like 1994 or something like that, and he time traveled, and it was kind of like a B plot to an episode, I think. But anyway, that's who that is. I'm sure everybody's yelling at their screen. It was obviously episode fill in the blank, but I don't remember. Anyway, how are you, man? How are you? Lower Decks is back finally.
Wow, so Lower Decks squeezed in another DS9 reference with the Buck Bokai and the London Kings in this episode. They went full out DS9 on this season opener. Paid a little homage to the Siskos and everybody. So that was really cool to see. But I didn't know the Easter egg in there. That was kind of cool. Buck Bokai.
And I only got it later. I missed it at the very beginning, but there was also an Admiral Jellicoe reference in that scrolling, in that rolling thing of the news. I wrote it down later, but it is Admiral Jellicoe. And Jellicoe, Cirroc, you're going to hate me for this. Admiral Jellicoe is probably my favorite Star Trek captain ever. He's kind of this
and we're just now hearing that. That's not possible.
He's kind of this character that like people love to hate, but then
Admiral Jellicoe?
He was a captain at that time, yeah.
Okay.
But in this thing, they said Admiral, and then like the more you watch it, played by Ronnie Cox, of course, who lives out in Texas now, I think somewhere. But he is such a notorious captain from Best of Both Worlds episodes 1 and 2, part 1 and 2. Anyway, more on that later, but Admiral Jellicoe, Captain Jellicoe is finally made Admiral Jellicoe. He told off Riker so hard, and he almost confined Riker to quarters because he took over for Picard. Dude, it's such a juicy episode. It's such good stuff, man. Like there's so much, there's so many battles between those two. But anyway, what did you think of this episode? I know you can tell I loved it.
Oh, I remember this Captain Jellicoe guy. I remember his face. He was in a lot of stuff in the 80s. A lot of television. But yes, going back to, first of all, you just sparked up a thought. I had to look up the Buck Bokai, and he was wearing the King's jersey with the L on the top of the hat.
Yeah, yes, that's brilliant. I love it.
So it is a definite, authentic callback. And I wanted to say, it made me think because I remember handling that Buck Buckeye card in that episode. I was just thinking, whatever happened to that card? Who has the Buck Buckeye card that was used in that Deep Space Nine episode? And if anybody out there in the listening audience knows, please post that. We can marvel in the one-off of the very special card that exists but doesn't exist.
It's out there somewhere.
It's out there somewhere, I'm sure.
This is what the rolling news thing. It said Admiral Jellicoe bans Zebulon sisters from active duty. And I don't remember what the Zebulon sisters were, but I do remember them. That is a real thing. That is also an Easter egg. That is the Zebulon, but they weren't connected with Jellicoe. So it's Jellicoe's an Easter egg and Zebulon sisters are an Easter egg. They're two separate things, but they're put together in the same rolling thing. I was very happy to see Jellicoe's name because he's almost like a troll thing, like kind of like people saying they love Michael Eddington. You're like, how can you love Michael Eddington? It's because he's just so bad.
Yeah, these are a lot of Easter eggs. I mean, you say Zebulon, I think of one of the 12 tribes of Jacob. So, my head goes all types of places when they use words that are familiar to me, and especially in the biblical context. And of course, Jellicoe reminds me of Jericho and the story of the walls of Jericho. So,
okay, Zebulon sisters. I just had to look it up, and now I remember again. They're the ones that invented the Choo Choo dance, which was in a previous episode of Lower Decks. So that's where we heard them before. So this episode, Cirroc, is unbelievably glorious for those of us that have watched the Star Trek movie First Contact. It is my favorite Star Trek movie, and this episode was all about First Contact. Bozeman, Montana. The two hats that Tendi and Rutherford are wearing, Zephram Cochrane was wearing, who is the guy that invented warp flight in Bozeman, Montana, played by our good friend, I love the guy, James Cromwell. And there's no way that was not him voicing Zephram Cochrane again and reprising his role. James Cromwell also played an alien that was negotiating with Quark on the Defiant. Do you remember the episode where they were negotiating on the Defiant and that missile, that torpedo hit the hull and they were just sitting there, the two of them, and then Quark like disarmed it or something like that? It was it was like maybe around season 4 or something like that. But that was
what did that have to do with his character? He played in
James
that episode.
Cromwell played that character, and he played Zephram Cochrane. And he also played one other character in Next Generation with like a mustache. He also played a police officer in Three's Company.
Okay, well, that's a lot of information.
I love that dude.
Zephram Cochrane invented warp. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And so would he be also the keeper of like all of these antique type of transporter systems as well? Is that something that's up his alley of?
No, that was that other guy who was like a made-up character, I think.
Oh, okay.
Zephram Cochrane, basically he was a drunk, and he said that he only did it for money, and he wasn't trying to like, Riker and Geordi are just like, oh my God, you usher in this new era of peace and prosperity when you invent warp drive and the Vulcans find us and all this. And he's like, I'm no big hero. I'm just some drunk guy that wants to make money. But once this happens, he ends up changing and becoming, an important figure and leading Earth into peace and prosperity because of this, because he kind of sees the light.
Okay.
Deanna
so
Troi
the old man scientist is not a reference to him. That's somebody else.
Yeah.
That's a completely fictional character.
I think so. Okay. Totally made up. Yeah. But all those scenes in Bozeman, Montana were all like First Contact things. And then there was even a Zephram Cochrane statue where he's like pointing to the stars. And in First Contact, Riker tells him, he's like, or no, it's Geordi that tells him, he's like, actually, we're standing right here on the site of what's going to be like a monument, actually right over there. And you're pointing to the stars. And he's just like creeped out and all that. But it's so funny that Lower Decks now shows that statue and that location and all that, which was just talked about in First Contact, the movie. So
excellent.
I could watch this 5 times.
So yeah, I did not catch all of these references. Clearly, no. I'm like, I was just watching it like, this is another episode. I did not catch all of these Easter eggs. Good to know. But I did think it was still, it was still interesting to me, even though I didn't know all of these things. I thought the fact that they were in Montana was kind of a cool thing, and they had this amusement park set up. It was also interesting to me. I wasn't so set on the whole, sold on the whole Captain Freeman going to trial. I wasn't worried about it or anything. I didn't feel like there was some peril or something happening. So that part of the danger didn't really, I wasn't bought into that, but I was just watching it as a story to see what the adventure would be. And so like watching Boimler, for example, on the vineyard, I was like, watching those kind of backstories about the characters. And I thought first when Boimler was on the vineyard, I was like, dude, how many people in Star Trek own vineyards? I'm like, this is like, it's a rare thing in normal life, right? But it seems like everybody in Star Trek.
He just makes raisins. That's hilarious. Apparently there was a Lower Decks premiere party with the cast and crew of Lower Decks, and their party favors they were handing out were Boimler raisins. And Jack, what's it, Jack? No, it was dude who plays Ransom. What's his name? Jerry O'Connell said he had 2 boxes of raisins and they're delicious, or something like that. Funny stuff.
Was there a new intro into this, or did it look different to you, the intro?
No, now they have that little Star Trek thing that comes up first, like really colorful, really good. Kind of like how Marvel has like the flipping of the pages through the comics and whatever. So now Star Trek does that every time. I think it was still the same theme song and everything was still the same. And I love it. But this is why I wrote down all the Easter eggs, because I know, you're probably not going to catch a lot of these because you haven't seen this. But like, I'm always curious as to know, like for me and for a lot of the other Star Trek fans, we just nerd out on all the Easter eggs. But I want to know, what's this like for people like you that can just watch it with a clean slate? Like you're not expecting anything. You're not pausing it a million times. You're just watching it with a clean slate for pure enjoyment. Except, by the way, of course, Rutherford was clearly wearing a Jake Sisko shirt, right?
Yeah.
And Boimler over here is wearing, according to Jack Quaid, a Jake Sisko vest. So Sisko, this is dueling Jake Siskos right here. Jack Quaid himself, who plays Boimler, said this was a Sisko vest.
Yes. So, they got my wardrobe fully represented in this episode. They also gave a shout out to Sisko's Creole Kitchen. That was pretty cool. Very nice. So there was a lot. That was the only Easter egg that I could pick up on.
There was one more Easter egg. And
there was another one that I did pick up on. Yes, you're right.
In the Creole Kitchen, and I can't imagine you caught this because I did not catch it right away.
I caught this. You're talking about the Ketracel white hot sauce?
Oh, that was a good one too. Now, I'm not talking about that, but that was one. That's great. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I was like, that's got to be. That's us, Ketracel white.
If you look over one of their shoulders, I don't remember who it was, over one of their shoulders in Sisko's Creole Kitchen, hanging from the ceiling in the other room is a stuffed alligator.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a stuffed alligator and there was a line about Joseph Sisko talking to Jake Sisko back on Homefront, Deep Space Nine Homefront, where he says that when you were a kid, he used to tell you like to wash the dishes, otherwise the alligator comes to life at night and eats you, and he gets tired, or something like that. I don't know if you remember that line. I don't
remember the line, but
it took me a while to jog my memory.
Yeah.
But that was deliberate. That was them putting an alligator hanging on the ceiling, hanging from the ceiling, based on Deep Space Nine's Homefront episode when you guys were there. That's freaking great stuff.
Yeah, that is. If they do write me into this show, they can just go ahead and put me on the vineyard where Boimler was.
You need
can
a
lock me
vineyard
there.
too. What's up with get your own vineyard, right? What
You
gonna
can
do some
lock me
port
over there. There seems to be an abundance of very horny
vineyards.
women over there.
Oh, yeah.
They were all over Boimler. I was like, what the hell's going on over here?
The lady is like, I got juice all over me. I need you to help make me naked. Or something. Like they're just elevating and escalating. He's just missing it every time.
So that's how I was watching it. I didn't see the Easter eggs, but I did see just the comedy that they were writing in.
Yeah.
The whole Golden Gate Bridge joke about like, well, why do we need a bridge? We got everybody's flying.
Hilarious.
That was hilarious.
Want to test the sweetness of my bushel?
Yeah, the sweetness of my bushel. That's got to be on a T-shirt. The privacy of the prickly shed and explain it to me or something like that. It was just one thing after another, and I was just like, wow, this is a little over the top. But no, I think the character I really liked too was the old man that they wrote in. Yeah. He was hilarious to me. You know, when he said butterscotch, it made me think of the old school days when I was a kid. And you meet those. You go to somebody's house and they either have like a caramel wrap.
You want some hard candy, and it's all like super old and stuck together. Like, thank you. I'll save it for later.
Yeah, so the butterscotch, that made me laugh. It was just like, wow, I remember the butterscotch offerings. And so I really like that. And I also like the line when he said, I'm a buffer buff.
Yeah.
I thought that was...
I wrote that down too. I was like, that's just clever.
It's just clever.
Yeah.
It's just a clever, like, it's small, but it's just good for me. And also, you know, that character was endearing to me. He kind of did remind me of just like that grandfatherly type of old man next door, you know. Don't let the door hit you with the big bang, where the big bang splits you. Yeah. I like that too. The little references there I thought were hilarious. So that's why I was watching it more like that. The whole Pac-led bombing thing. I don't remember that being the season ender for last season. I don't think they had like a... Yeah, I don't remember it.
They carried away Captain Freeman. They put her in cuffs and took her away. You know, speaking of Jellicoe, I actually predicted that we would see Jellicoe in this episode, because when Captain Freeman got taken away, my first thought was, okay, so season 3, episode 1, we're going to have a replacement captain while she's gone. Now, the way this show works, you want it to be somebody you hate, somebody where they're just like, oh my God, we got to get Freeman back. And then they appreciate her more when they get her back. I was like, who is better than that than Captain Jellicoe? Because everybody hated him when he took over for Picard. And so I was like, we're going to get a Jellicoe. So it was funny that we did not get a Jellicoe sighting, but we did get his name mentioned. I was so positive. I was like, I want this so bad it's going to happen. But okay, that's good enough.
Well, he did get a shout out in a little man action. You know who also got a shout out was Tuvok in this episode.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool too as well. You know, him interrogating with his aggressive interrogation style. I like that a lot.
You know what's funny is that the best part of that is Tim Russ probably has no idea. So people can come up to him in Vegas the day after this thing premieres and go, hey, Tim, I loved you in Lower Decks. Hey, great. I saw you in Lower Decks. And he's going like, what are you talking? I didn't. Oh, no, you didn't record anything. They just used Tuvok's likeness from 25 years ago. So I think that's brilliant. I think he'll be very happy, though, just to see that Tuvok lives on as a commander.
I'm going to have to reach out to Mike McMahon and ask him if I can. I'm going to see if I can get one of these headshots of Rutherford wearing the Jake outfit.
Yeah.
So I can add that to my photograph collection.
That'd be awesome. Get him to sign it.
You could either get me wearing the real thing, or you can get Rutherford wearing the cartoon version
for $9 less.
for 50% off.
It's the knockoff. It's like what I ordered at Wish and what I got.
Exactly. But that would be cool though. Some of those headshots from that episode. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It's great homage too. I think it's cool that even though you, Avery, were not in this episode, I think it's cool that they paid homage multiple times. Sisko's Creole Kitchen, eating in there. There's the alligator. They're eating, what was it? Jambalaya, was it? They're that's great. That's all great stuff. Plus, these two are both wearing Jake Sisko outfits. I'm loving it. I'm loving the Deep Space Nine, but the specific Sisko love too. This is specific to you and Avery and Brock, and that's really cool. So even if there are times when, look, you got to worry about the budget. They can't pay everybody. They can't bring everybody on. Plus, it has to work within the plot. It has to work within the writing. But I think it's really cool that, look, even if it's not in the script, they can be wearing Jake Sisko stuff. That doesn't change anything, right? They can go to Sisko's Creole Kitchen since they're on Earth. You know what I mean? So they can add all these nice little details. I think it's really cool they did that.
And actually, my favorite line was when Rutherford said, "Well, he says, are we dressed appropriately?" And he's like, "Well, my shirt could be a little more asymmetrical."
Yes,
I thought that was great.
But let me ask you though, when you first saw, because it just only went up for a second, when you first saw Sisko's Creole Kitchen, when you first, you're just watching Lower Decks and you first see Sisko's Creole Kitchen. What did you feel? Did it make you laugh? Did it make you smile? Did it give you a little bit of pride? Was it like a whoa kind of thing? How do you feel about it?
It feels it's great. It's somebody's paying homage to the work that you did, and it's like it still exists in the lore in different ways. It kind of reminded me of when we saw Quark's bar in the first season of this show. Remember they panned to Earth or something, and there was like a Quark's bar and all that stuff. And just, the idea that, this thing that was done so many years ago still is part of the context of what is coming out today. It's a real humbling thing, to be honored in that kind of a way. They could have picked anybody. They could pick anybody to honor. Rutherford could have been wearing an Odo outfit, or anything else.
Nobody would be caught dead in an Odo outfit.
But I thought that was cool. And then they go to the Sisko's Kitchen. Basically they're paying homage to us, and it's better than avoiding the existence of us. I prefer that you at least say, "Hey, we." Shout out to you guys. Love, we love the work you guys did. That's kind of a humbling and special thing.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, this show is just easy to watch. It's so it rolls so quickly. The characters are I'm sold on their characters. Boimler being the idiot, Mariner being the go get it kind of take no nose for an answer, right? Kind of does whatever she wants. And then the little bit of comedy, the humor that they have in this, they don't really go too far with it. They still continue to maintain to a storyline, and keep giving you Easter eggs. But there's also that blend of comedy. I love when they pick up on so many things. And this is, for example, the Tom Paris episode when they had the plate. They're taking a collector plate that Star Trek fans have seen at some point or another during their own. Either convention experience or collectible experience. They took something like that and incorporated in the show. To me, that's genius, right? Another example of that is when they're on the amusement park and they're about to get on this rocket ride. And there's a video playing where it's like, the guy's like, "I'm just busy doing my work here, but if you could just finish your food and drinks or whatever." It reminded me of how when you're at an amusement park, you're waiting in line for a ride, and there's those kinds of videos playing, talking
Totally.
to you.
Totally.
It was perfect. So that's how. Yeah, I know it's a cartoon, but still, they're pulling stuff from reality. It's little things that we're all used to seeing, but nobody talks about because it's like it's just like an afterthought most of the time.
All that attention to detail,
that attention to the detail is what I really like, and it's funny. The guy's like, "Hey, no food," and there was another line that was hilarious when they kidnapped that kid, whoever was on the ride, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you get off the ride?" Right. And at the end, after their whole experience, he says, "This won't be the last you hear of me."
Yeah, Captain Gavin.
And they just shut the door on him, which is hilarious because that's the last you hear of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like that kind of comedy. To me, this show is like it gives me a lot of what I need.
So Gavin was actually an Easter egg. He was Major Kira's son from. No, I'm just kidding. But that's the thing. That's what's so cool about this show is like every single name and detail they give, you go, that's got to be something, right? Yeah. Like the old guy. We're both like, who is this guy? What? Yeah. And so just now, I verified something. Remember at the very end when they are telling the story of like Tuvok doing the mind meld and Captain Freeman being rescued, they mentioned somebody named Morgan Bateson leading this charge and this whatever, right? And I wrote that. I wrote that name down because I was like, the fact that they said, oh, and then Commander Tuvok did this thing, and then this away mission was led by Morgan Bateson, Captain Morgan Bateson. I was like, that's just got to be somebody. It sounds familiar. It's got to be somebody. I just did a search on it, and in fact, yes, it is from quite possibly my favorite Next Generation episode. He was a captain on Cause and Effect, which is the episode of Star Trek that I introduce Star Trek to people that have never seen it. Anybody that's never seen Star Trek before, I show them Cause and Effect. I think it's the most palatable episode of Star Trek for anybody to watch that have never seen it or never watches science fiction. And it's just a quick little thing. We see Morgan Bateson for just a second on, by the way, the USS Bozeman, which is quite the coincidence that I am only now putting together. He was on the ship, the USS Bozeman, which is where they were in Bozeman, Montana, which is where Zephram Cochrane did the first warp flight. But Morgan Bateson was played by none other than Kelsey Grammer.
No.
Yeah. Good old Frasier was in one scene of Star Trek. Anyway, it's a magnificent episode, and this is all so deep, because he's in that, and he was on the USS Bozeman. They're talking about the Bozeman. My mind is exploding as we speak. In the words of the great Marilyn Manson, I was a hand grenade that never stopped exploding. I feel like that's how my nerd brain is working right now.
Yeah, that's some deep diving. That's some real, which is like, I don't know how these guys do it. I know they watch a lot of episodes, but it's just like to have all that information in your head. Or is there a chalkboard that they write this stuff down? And like, find me the most obscure thing that one guy was mentioned one time in that one episode. And they're like, yeah, we'll find him and we're going to flush out that story. It's pretty remarkable how well they're able to juggle all of the canon and all of these things that have happened in the previous iterations of Star Trek. I think it's genius level for them to be able to constantly have these throwbacks. I mean, I don't know. It's just too much.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are a ton of Easter eggs that I've missed myself, and that people are going to be just talking all about as soon as this premieres. They're just going to be like, "Oh, this thing," and then in the few days after today, they're just going to be talking about all these things that we missed. But they put so much attention to detail in every 23-minute episode or whatever. It's unbelievable, and it's such, and that's just for us nerds. I mean, like, you can watch this stuff without looking for Easter eggs and just enjoy the show. You can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You can laugh at the comedy and watch it for the plot. And it's just, I have no qualms with this show. I think it's a very close to a perfect show, personally.
Yeah, there's characters that I do like. They gave us just a little bit of Katana in the beginning. She kind of flexed on
the doctor,
Ta'ana,
right?
Yeah. She did her little cat kind of growl at somebody who was trying to, take pictures of too much. I really like also their number one on this show. What's that guy's name? He's hilarious.
Commander Ransom.
Yeah, Ransom
played
is
by
great
Jerry
too.
O'Connell. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like one of my favorite characters on this show, and I always want more of him. I was a little bit sad that I didn't get enough of him in this episode. I want a little bit more always, because I think I was kind of expecting him to testify on Captain Freeman's behalf and just go like bananas. You can't handle the truth.
Rip his shirt open.
Yeah. I was waiting for that. I was like, he's going to do it. He's going to screw this thing up, trying to defend her. He's going to make it worse. So part of me thought that, but yeah, it's just like, this show has established their characters so well. They developed their characters so well. Tendi needs a little bit more growth because I still think we're 3 seasons in. I don't have a full grasp on what direction she's trying to go in. I get where the other ones are, but she's a little bit still a little too timid for me. I need some more assertiveness in a particular direction.
Yeah, I wonder if she's going to have. They're just creating a character arc for her. Like somebody that's going to grow into. I bet she will. She already got a little bit when she was transferring more into like science. I think it was, rather than just being like a medical assistant or whatever. I think maybe they're creating a little bit of growth. She's very likable. Her enthusiasm. Yeah. I mean, actually, it seems like all 4 of them. That's what they all have, is a huge amount of enthusiasm that just comes out in different ways. Like Boimler is like obsessive. Mariner is like at 11 at all times. Rutherford is like some kind of weird savant. Tendi is just like bright eyes and bushy tail, just wants to try everything. They all.
She did take some. She did have a good moment here in this episode, when she decided that she was going to take charge in the science aspect of this mission that they were on. And she was like, I'll deal with I like the way she was assertive. She basically told Mariner, shut the hell up. I got it from here. and Mariner was like, okay, kind of, that was the first time she had seen that side of her. So I think she just was like, okay, I guess I'll let you take charge. It was a nice little moment right there for her. But yeah, it's funny because they go through this whole episode, but the meat of the episode, which is Captain Freeman, was reduced to like the last 2 minutes in a montage. Right?
And then they just crammed everything. And what was it? Mariner was like, wow, that was really cool. Starfleet really came through. We're all thinking the same thing. Like, wow, that could have been a whole episode right there.
They did a whole episode in the last 2 minutes. And then they did an undercover mission, and they battled with this, and Tuvok did the mind meld, and this and that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we didn't need this whole episode about an amusement park and a ride that goes to the space,
I needed it.
But you needed it.
It made my little nerd heart sore. My little nerd heart swole. We only have a couple minutes left. Let me see if I can knock out a few more little minor Easter eggs that we may have missed.
Jeez, how many eggs were in this?
So many more than I got, that's for sure.
Wow.
It's funny that the Pakleds call their capital Big Strong City. That was fun. Let's see. Yeah, we got the raisins. Boimler swallows a bug. Leanne's line is, I'm soaked in juice and I need help getting naked. Bozeman, everything was in Bozeman. Oh, there was some, did you notice that they were also at Bozeman, Montana at the theme park? They're also selling balloons. The balloons, a couple of them were in the shape of the Enterprise and the Defiant. I had to pause it to make sure and go back a second. I was like, wait a minute, that's the Defiant. I'm not imagining that. That's the Defiant.
We're going to have to ask Bill Erickson about Bozeman. I know he's got some insight on
Right?
that
He's
part
out
of
in
Montana.
Montana. I wonder if it's a real
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
They played Magic Carpet Ride, which was also when they took the Phoenix on the first warp drive flight. Zefram Cochrane played Magic Carpet Ride as well. That's like an iconic song and that iconic moment in that movie.
Magic Carpet Ride? Is that
yeah.
That's the name of the song?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the one that he played right then and there. Beautiful.
Yeah.
What is it, like George Thorogood or something? I don't remember who sings it, but it's pretty well-known, beautiful, amazing, rockin' like late 60s, early 70s tune. Pretty badass. Magic Carpet Ride. Let's see. Yeah, Ransom was missing a little bit. Boimler was covered in Alien Sploof. Oh, I recognized somebody's voice, and I couldn't figure out who it was. And then at the end, when it showed the credits, it was Bobby Moynihan, who's from Saturday Night Live. So just shout out to Bobby Moynihan. Good for him doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And they got a NAM for Kirk, by the way. They're like, what in Kirk's name at the beginning? So nice little NAM for him.
Okay.
All right. Any final thoughts before we go? Did you love the shit out of this or what? I sure did.
Yeah, I did like it. I mean, they gave the guy's wearing a Jake shirt. That they could have paused it right there. That's good enough for me. A+ just for that. I just want to bring back the Ketracel white hot sauce. I really thought that was clever, and and I was hoping for sure that they would give us a close up on the label, because I was looking for the label when I saw it on the table, because you could see they had letters on it. It wasn't just like, so I was like, oh, they're going to give us the name. And when they did give it to us, I was thoroughly pleased. It was just another little Easter egg. And like I said, I don't know what they do. I don't know how they write these episodes. Do they just write the episode and say, okay, how many Easter eggs can we throw in on it? Make him wear a Jake shirt, make this, make that, change this, change that. Or do they literally, build it piece by piece and say, hey, what about Tupac? And let's have it at Sisko's kitchen. I wonder how the process goes. And that would be one of the questions for, producers when we bring them back on, because I would like to know, which comes first, the Easter eggs? Do they line them all up, or do they decide
the chicken
that
or the
drop
Easter
them
eggs?
in? Right. Yeah, which comes first, the chicken or the Easter eggs?
Yeah, no, I agree. Can't wait. We got to talk to these guys and Mike McMahon first and foremost. Absolutely. So we do have to run in just a second, but before we go, let's give a very special thanks to our friends Homer Frizzell, Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackmon, Carmen, a.k.a. Skillet, Timothy Baum, a.k.a. Grandpa One, TJ, Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan, Titus Mohler, Darlena Marie, John Mann, Dr. Mohamed Noor, Tierney C. Dieckmann, Anna Post, Rex A. Wood, Anil O. Polat, Erica Strom, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, Neil Akasaka, DQ, Justine Norton Kurtzen, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, Edward Foltz, and of course, the champion of all champions of bug professionals,
Dr.
the insect lady.
Susan V. Gruner.
That's the one. We love her. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. We've got so much more to talk about. Let us know in the comments what we missed and how much you are loving the show. I cannot wait for 9 more of these and 15 more seasons. Sad this is over. All right, we'll see you next time. Until then, always remember the 7th rule.